Welcome back. This is chapter 4, The Enemy, written by Per S. Back. And now I'm going to explain page number 46 and 7 to you. So here we go. I wondered, Your Excellency, so thou murmured. It was certainly very careless of me, the general said. But you understand, it was not lack of patriotism or dereliction of duty. He looked anxiously at his doctor. If the matter should come out, you would understand that, wouldn't you? So here, this line suggests that at that moment, Sadao murmured that he had assumed it already. The general admitted having been careless in that matter, but at the same time he strongly rejected any thought that might proclaim him unpatriotic or which might suggest he neglected his duty. With worry-on face, he looked at the doctor. He feared if the matter came out in public, it would have serious implications for him. Next para. Certainly, Your Excellency, Sadao said. He certainly comprehended that the general was in the palm of his hand, and that, as a consequence, he himself was perfectly safe. I can swear to your loyalty, Excellency, he said to the old general, and to your zeal against the enemy. So here, this line means Sadao certainly realized that the general was in his hand now, and that there was no risk to him, to his life. He was absolutely in the safe zone. Sadao assured the general of his firm loyalty to him and maintained his faith in his actions against the enemy of the state. Next para. You are a good man, the general murmured and closed his eyes. You will be rewarded. But Sadao, searching the spot of black in the twilighted sea that night, had his reward. There was no prick of light in the dusk. No one was on the island. His prisoner was gone, safe doubtless, for he had warned him to wait only for a Korean fishing boat. So here these lines say, the general appreciated him for being a good human being and promised a reward to him. And that evening, just after the sun had set, he looked for that signal and realized that the American was gone, since there was no signal received from the island. He was least doubtful of his safety. The only thing he had to wait for was the Korean fishing boat to arrive there. And next para now. He stood for a moment on the veranda, gazing out to the sea from whence the young man had come that other night. And into his mind, although without reason, there came other white faces he had known. The professor, at whose house he had met Hannah, a dull man, and his wife had been a silly, talkative woman, in spite of her wish to be kind. He remembered his old teacher of anatomy, who had been so insistent on mercy with the knife. So here, this line suggests that Being sure and certain of the American safety, Sadao stood on the veranda and looked out the sea from where the young man had appeared the other night. Then spontaneously featured the faces of those white Americans who had been a great help and support in his life during his stay in America. He remembered the professor and his talkative wife, at whose residence he met Anna. He also remembered the professor of anatomy and his lessons on the approach to human body. Next part. And then he remembered the face of his fat and slatternly landlady. He had had great difficulty in finding a place to live in America because he was a Japanese. The Americans were full of prejudice, and it had been bitter to live in it, knowing himself their superior. How he had despised the ignorant, dirty old woman who had at last consented to house him in her miserable home. He had once tried to be grateful to her because she had in his last year nursed him through influenza, but it was difficult, for she was no less repulsive to him in her kindness. Now he remembered the youthful, haggard face of his prisoner, white and repulsive. Strange, he thought. I wonder why I could not kill him. So here, these lines say, next picture that appeared in his mind was that of the fat and messy landlady. There at her house, he got a shelter after much wandering for a rent because of his race. He believed Americans were prejudiced towards others, and there he found himself better than them, and it was a tough time for him negotiating, adjusting with them. He had hatred for the landlady, though she sheltered him and nursed him while he was sick during the final year of his study. But there was something, that is, the hatred he noticed in her kindness even. At last there appeared the sickly face of that American soldier, who too was white and repulsive in nature. It was strange for him that he could not kill the American. So this is all for now.